Hello, folks. Welcome to our latest episode of Football is Life. Here we go. We're back again. Yes, come on. So it's been an interesting run of fixtures. There's a new Premier League leader, right? So that's it. Mystic Pat there. Just we'll get to that that prediction later in the podcast. But yeah, so there is a new leader in the Premier League. There's been a bit of movement at the bottom of the table. Stevie G has started strong, so lots going on. But I think we have to start with the Merseyside derby, don't we? We have to start Agent Rafa in his element there, masterminding Everton's downfall. You love to see it. An absolutely dismantling. It was obviously a good watch as a Liverpool fan. Enjoyed it immensely. Jordan Pickford, his T-Rex arms, not capable of saving anything that night, which you love to see again. Just a terrible guy he is. You know, nobody likes him. Not even Everton fans like Pickford, right? You just know he's just not a good guy. You can tell. He just got that look about him. Anyway, what do we think that Everton? What a situation. So Rafa started the season, absolutely had them putting, really, really good run of results. Everton fans getting giddy. And then all of a sudden some injuries come in and they've just been, I think, is it 7 or 8 games they've not won it, or they've lost in a row. It's a crazy record. They're on a ridiculous slide. Everton fans, you got to sympathize a little bit with them, right? I mean, it's been a tough, since Moyes left, really, it's been tough, right? And look what he's doing now. What do we think then? What's the issue at Everton? What is going on at Everton Football Club?
Well, Pat, I feel like you should be able to comment more on this than me because your club's recently been in turmoil.
I don't know. I just what I saw in that game. I haven't watched a lot of Everton's games. I mean, I know that we talked a little bit about some of the players I might like to see on the pitch that aren't there for my fantasy team, but I just really don't see a lot of strength in that game. I mean, it was really, really one-sided. The score not quite as one-sided as it actually was. They were. I feel Liverpool was really kind of just toying with them the whole way. It was really pretty bad.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It was a training exercise for Liverpool, really. I mean, I feel like Everton fans are going to be a bit relentless because you have folks like Ross going Agent Rafa, but also the board is very trigger happy, unfortunately so. And I think that if they lose Rafa, which looks like a distinct possibility, and supposedly the special one is rumored to take place.
No,
don't get me wrong, I would live for that. But I feel like if they pull the trigger on Rafa, that's the best manager that they can get. I'm sorry.
I need some more teaching. I need to learn some more. So the special one. Who are we talking about?
Mourinho. Talking about
it. I love it.
I saw something on social media. Pat said, like, literally could be the most like Everton thing ever. Like, Mourinho has led Roma to they're sitting sick. They're on a terrible run of form. They got beat by a part-time team in the Europa Conference, whatever they're in, or the Europa, whatever it is. And they're saying, they're looking at him. So yeah, it's crazy. I think for me, look, Carlo Ancelotti is not a bad manager. Rafael Benitez is not a bad manager. There's the common denominator here is Everton Football Club, right? You look at Man United, right? Similar situation, a bit like Tottenham, a bit like that. You go, there are things that are fundamentally wrong, right? And then you look at other teams that they aspire to be like, where they're saying, oh, look, they're looking across at Liverpool, right? Well, if you look at Liverpool, top to bottom, we've had to sort the club out, right? Man City, same thing. It's taken them years, but top to bottom, those clubs now function really well, right? Chelsea have their own kind of weird model, right, which seems to work for them, right? But that's the point. I think my issue with this is like part of it is like, to me, I think the Rafa situation is tricky because he's not liked by a lot of the fans because he was Liverpool manager, right? And I think so. There's always just those knives are sharpened. I think it's the wrong move. You have to keep him. And I think that the owners have backed him. They might get rid of the director of football, the guy who's spent all the money on absolutely nonsense players, right? I don't know. I feel like my main issue with the whole Everton situation is that there's this, and we went through this as Liverpool, right? Where there's this idea where we were in a bit of turmoil, but there's always this, hey, we should be here. And it's like, well, it's like Man United fans. You shouldn't be there. You have to earn that right. Okay. So it's like, I just don't like that mentality of, it's like, look, what they should be saying is, we are where we are. It's like Arsenal fans, I think, have had to suck this up just because of how bad it got, right? They're like, they've accepted, to be fair, it's probably Wenger's like years of like fourth place is the best we can get. But I think Everton fans need to just eat a little bit of humble pie and realize, look, your club's in a bit of a shambles. Just recycling managers is not going to fix it, right? You're not going to bring Mourinho in. You might get a little bit of a boost when he comes in, but it's not going to be sustainable, right? The playing squad needs refreshed. The club, the way it's been run, needs to be looked at. There are so many things. Just understand where you are, right? And just have some realistic expectations around, right, there's a lot of work to be done here, right? I think, Pat, you as a Spurs fan probably appreciate that more than most people, right, at the moment. But you can start to see that now. Maybe things are starting to, you can start to see a plan, right, which is what you want to see.
I have no idea how to appreciate being 16th in the table. As a Spurs fan, I don't see that. Like, I've never seen that. What I see is a Spurs team that's in 5th in the table with a game in hand. So, yeah, these are different kind of problems than I know about.
Okay, love that.
I just feel like, I mean, I saw a damning statistic that since 2016, Everton have spent 500 million. That's as much as we've spent on left backs, granted, but like they have spent a lot. And what have they got to show for it? Like that Everton squad, I think if you look at it, that Everton squad is terrible. Like it's not a good squad. There's not that many good players in there. Like, given that Rafa has spent 1.7 million on one player and then the rest are loans, and all of those players are performing, like, with all due respect, Solomon Rondon, yeah, he's not fantastic, but he is actually playing well. Like, he's putting in a shift. He always puts in a shift. Everyone else in that team is just not worth the money that they paid. Michael Keane is not performing that well. Pickford is not performing that well. Like, he was a bit of a snip, and he's good at crosses, but he has no defensive discipline. That team is broken. And 1.7 million is not going to fix it. So I feel like Rafa was handed a poison chalice when he arrived.
Yeah, I think he'll sort it. I think if they stick with him, and the owners have said he will get him. But I think the problem is, I heard that the part of the reason is like financial fair play. They've got to be careful. So I think the idea is they're going to have to move off. So, and again, this is what I mean about being realistic. Look, there's probably Arsenal's the fairest comparison, where they had this kind of decaying playing squad, right? And even when like Ferguson left United, it was a bit like that, right? Where it takes a number of windows because of the contracts and getting people. There's so many things, like the amount of wages that Mesut Ozil was eating up at Arsenal for years, right? It's so restrictive financially to the team. I think, Everton tried to speculate with Ancelotti. They're like, oh, we're going to get James Rodriguez. We're going to go and buy these players. And it's like, again, I go back, like David Moyes at Everton, as much as like, look, he's a Scotsman. I like David Moyes. His teams were always good to watch. They were always competitive, right? And I think, trying to speculate to be at that next level, there's a lot of things in the background that have to be aligned. And I think that's where they need to start. Get the club sorted out. And then you can start looking at things like, the manager to me is the least of their problems at the moment. So Everton fans, lots to sort out. As a Liverpool fan, we obviously love to see it. We love coming to Goodison and smashing you off the park. So we cannot wait to get you back to Anfield. That's my message to Everton fans. Looking forward to that game. It can't come quickly enough. So there we go.
Love it.
What about Divock Origi, by the way? You have to mention Big Divock, the legend. Build the statue. Build the statue. You have to build the statue. Like, what an enigma. What an enigma of a player, right?
It's frustrating. Give credit where credit's due. He always comes, I say always, he's scored some pretty important goals for the club. Like, very, very important ones.
Barcelona semi-final, get this final. Champions League final again. Pat, remember that one. Champions League final. Boom. There you go. Have your dinner. Against Everton. Was it last season, 2 seasons ago? Scored the winner where Pickford had a nightmare. You love to see that. And then against listen, Big Divock, get the statue. He's a legend. Just put it up now. He's earned it. That's it. Simple as that.
Bobby Firmino injured, or is he just being sunsetted?
He's injured. Oh, he's still awesome. He's going to come back and just with a bang, kung fu kicks and everything, mate. That's what it's all about.
Do you think that he's going to be okay with playing second fiddle to Jota or vice versa?
He won't. They'll be interchangeable now. It means you can rest one. It's Diogo is like, he's just one of those guys, man. He's just like, he's a predator. I don't know. I just love what an addition he's been. Like, what a signing he's been. He's unbelievable, that guy. Great edge to his game. Just, love it. So look, as long as the African Cup of Nations gets cancelled, we'll win the league, right? But if it doesn't get cancelled, we'll finish 4th, right? So it's like, we're kind of in that situation.
Ross, your whole team's firing on all cylinders. You love to see it. It's awesome.
Oh, mate, isn't it? It's just like, see, all I'd say is this is like, somebody asked me, who was just talking to the weekend about like the title. Actually, my son Alfie was talking about it. He was like, I was like, yeah, you know what? Like Chelsea probably got like the most complete squad, but I feel like again, surprise, surprise, Lukaku's back from injury. He hasn't scored a goal, has he? Told you. I told you. Is he any better than Callum Wilson? Is he? I don't think he is. Right. Chelsea have got the best defense, partly because of the formation they play. So I think they're the most solid team, right? So defensively, they're harder to beat. I just think their attacking threat is just way. I mean, if you look at Liverpool, our attacking threat is the best in the league. City to me are the most balanced though. City have got a bit of both, right? So I think you've got that. We've got this firepower. Chelsea are really defensively solid, and City have got a bit of both. And it's just going to be really interesting to see, like over the course of a season. Like I love the fact that it's this close. I think I can't remember the last time there was 3 teams genuinely you're saying any one of the 3 could win it. I think it's fantastic for the league. And then the battle for 4th, Pat, we need to come to, right? Spurs all of a sudden, like a phoenix from the flames under Antonio Conte. Harry Kane, you should have sold him. 120 million. He can't hit a barn door, mate. Get him out the door.
Who needs him, right? I mean, what a week for the Spurs. I mean, 2 games, 2 clean sheets, 2-0 and 3-0 against Brentford and Norwich. And I got to go to the Norwich game on Sunday. It was fantastic. A little bit of rain, but it was also just a great place to be. And right now sitting, just a couple of points now, 2 points below West Ham with a game in hand. So effectively, you think about the game we're missing, it's Burnley. So really, we're in 4th, and right there, just a few points behind Chelsea. So when Chelsea makes that kind of inevitable move down to 5th, like I said they would do in the first place, and you can obviously see with no Ben Chilwell, they're in trouble right now. But I think I love where Spurs are sitting. Things are in good spot. They actually have got a couple more games that are winnable in the near future, and so I love it. They're in really good shape.
You know what's going to happen, Pat? They're going to lose to Burnley, right? 100%. But it's the most Spurs thing ever.
They'll bottle it. I mean, Pat, you've mentioned Spurs and sitting in the same sentence a couple of times now. Can you tell me if you were sitting near Harry Kane, or like was he in the row in front of you or behind? Because he was a spectator, wasn't he? Like he wasn't playing against Norwich, was he? Like,
he had a couple of chances. There was one where the keeper had to make a really good play to stop it. It was ticking for the corner of the goal, and then like a really good stop. So right now he's not getting the luck. I mean, he's not played well. I'll give you that too. But Davinson Sanchez has a ball just like show up right in front of him, and it's an easy goal. And what we were saying in the stands was, what do you think Kane would do for something like that, like an opportunity like that? He just isn't getting the opportunities at the moment.
Pat, you make your own luck, mate. Come on, ask Big Divock Origi. Big Origi makes his own luck. Listen, Fred could teach him a thing or two this season, right? Bang, top corner, there you go. Just love it, right? But yeah, listen, Kane is, by the way, if you got 120 million for him, I bet you're wishing I think the whole league's wishing you'd offload him to Man City, because Man City would be mid-table. There you go, have him. That's it.
I don't think City are even going to think about touching him. I don't think that he's on our radar anymore.
You've got Bernardo Silva playing like Kun Aguero. It's like Bernardo Silva is just like a different planet at the moment. Like he's just unbelievable. Like he's genuinely the only guy that's close to Salah at the moment. Like genuinely.
Well, I was going to say, out of him and Salah, I don't know who's got a better left foot at the moment or dribbling mind. It's very difficult to take.
Salah. Definitely Salah. You ask any manager apart from Pep Guardiola who you have in your team. Everyone says.
I don't know. I feel like Bernardo Silva, where even though he's not as attacking as Salah, he provides a lot more in defense. Like he provides a lot more press.
I just want goals, mate. Hey, I just want goal. I want 40 goals a season. Salah. Yeah, that's it. That's all I want, mate. Listen, Pat, I want to ask you something about. So we do need to touch on the Man United situation. So we've given them a lot of stick this season, which absolutely appropriately we have. So they've got Ralf in. Okay, so this looks like an actual like we've talked through the catastrophe after catastrophe of decisions that Man United have made throughout the past, well, since Ferguson left, really, right? This seems to be the first kind of time where they've actually sat down, regained their sanity, and realized, hey, wait a minute, we should probably bring someone in who knows what they're doing, right? So we're like, okay, good. Get the win at the weekend. So you're thinking, obviously, Spurs pushing their West Ham great win against Chelsea. We'll have to talk about that game as well. But this battle, it seems to be there's a top 3, and then there's a battle. There's one spot left. As a Spurs fan, you're feeling good. You've always felt Man United would get that top 4. You've said it consistently. How do you see, now with Ragnick in there, like, are you worried as a Spurs fan about, are you thinking going to run a form? What do you think?
Yeah, I am worried. I think, I'm not sure that I subscribe to Ralph's description of Cristiano Ronaldo actually pressing really well in that last game. I think that's probably a stretch, but I do think that it's worrisome. You know, he's obviously a very good coach. If he does get the team playing well and kind of making the right choices for who put in the lineup, I worry about it a lot, because I don't think, as much as this last week was really kind of fun as a Spurs fan, we still need some quality. We still need some talent on the team. So my hope is that we're going to find in the January transfer window that we spend some money and that we have the right talent on the field to go along with Conte and what he's doing on the field, on the pitch, and getting everybody running and all that great stuff. But yeah, there's definitely some worry about it. I think that United had their stretch where things were going really poorly. They brought in a good coach, and we'll see where things go. But I'm definitely worried about them. I don't worry about Arsenal. I don't worry about, Wolves can't score. They're great on defense, but they can't score. They can't finish their dinner, as Waleed says. And it's not just Ferrari, it's the whole team. Nobody else underneath or anybody that I'm really worried about. So
West Ham, mate. West Ham.
West Ham's above, and I'm very worried about them. Like, they're a terrific team. And I think, as I said before, Chelsea's going to be fifth. So if we get to fourth, they'll be above Chelsea. West Ham will be right there in the top four with us. But yeah, United's a worry.
I think the only reason you should feel worried about West Ham is because Lanzini's back. And I think Messi said in an interview just before the World Cup in 2018 that the biggest loss for the team was when Lanzini got injured, because they played, like, he said that there's very few players that he plays as well with than Lanzini, because he's got that mind to play with Messi. So that is slightly worrying when you put him with Michail Antonio. But I think that, I don't know, I wouldn't be worried if I were you, Pat. I think that United, to play Klopp's system, like, Ross, you know this, right? To play Klopp's system, those players for Liverpool have had to undergo a wealth of special conditioning to be able to cope with that level of press and be able to switch it on and off and play at that tempo for a prolonged period of time. The only person in that United squad that is capable of doing that is, embarrassingly enough, Fred, which is why he's able to actually keep up and still press. That United team is going to drop off in January.
Wow, massive prediction from Waleed here. I'm saying that Ragnick is they're going to drop off in January. I think I'm a bit worried. I agree. I think Conte said it right. You're right. The squad is just a little bit low in quality. I think over the course of whatever it is, 20 odd games to go, whatever it is to go, I'm not sure I see that. I'm not sure how I see that. I just don't see that playing out in their favor, unless you get a very favorable situation where you don't get any injuries and your opponents get a number of key ones. I feel like, as much as I hate to say it, United are the best equipped team to get that fourth spot, 100%. If you look at just the squad depth and strength, I think you're right. I think there's still some inherent challenges, and I don't think they're going to start hitting form like the Cities and the Liverpools and the Chelseas and go on that kind of run. But I don't know that anyone will. I think West Ham, I think West Ham. I don't think they're going to go away. People think they will. I don't know. I think that they'll stay around. I think it's going to be, and Arsenal could, I don't even know how to feel about Arsenal anymore, right? It's like, I don't even know how to feel about Arsenal. I feel like they need, them and Spurs need the January. I feel January is key for those two teams. If they have aspirations to break the top four, they have to go and get at least one key player, right? At least one key player that can come straight in and make a significant contribution. I think that's the situation that you're in at the moment. So
there's a reason you don't know what to feel about Arsenal, and that's because you shouldn't feel about Arsenal. You should feel nothing. Right? You should just feel nothing. They're going to be mid-table, and you don't worry about them. You should feel nothing.
Pat, what I love is the fact that I think probably about a year ago, when I tried to sort of bait you into seeing if you'd rise to some Spurs Arsenal sort of rivalry, you were like, I've not been here long enough. I don't have to care. It's finally coming out, and I love to see it.
They did something wrong 140 years ago, and we're not going to let it go. We're going to Spurs fans. We're going to hang on to it.
You stick to your guns, big man. You stick to your guns. But on the Arsenal Man United game, I was going to say something. It was obviously a bizarre goal. I think you saw the goal where De Gea was in it. I mean, I'm like surprisingly, I have an opinion on this, which I know will shock both of you. But to me, this is part of the product. I go back to that Christian Eriksen incident in the summer, right? And this is what just drives me up the wall, right? You see, and I think, who said it actually? Probably Roy Keane, but who knows? I would be fuming at my goalkeeper, right? The only way you stay down with your back to the game and don't know what's going on is if they're not carrying you off on a stretcher, I'm just going to go absolutely mental, right? You just don't do that, right? this is the problem in football. It's like stay down, pretend you're injured, worse than you are to try and get the game stopped. I hate it because see when something really serious happens, this is the problem, right? How do referees know? It makes it harder. And listen, I'm glad they gave the goal. Correct decision, 100% correct decision. I said at the time it was an obvious decision. Smith Rowe had no idea, and he hit the ball totally on De Gea's shoulders. The interesting thing about that game, though, that then almost like Arsenal with a better team, that sparked a United reaction out of anger, right? Which just shows you sometimes the emotional side of the game. And what Arsenal got shown up for was they don't have the maturity or mentality. See, if they'd managed the game better, they got drawn into it. It didn't suit them. It suited United. It got frantic, which suited United better than them. And then the crazy tackle from Odegaard. Like, to me, Arsenal threw away a massive opportunity in that. United were there for the taking. They were absolutely there for the taking. And they just, and this is where I think Arsenal shows the maybe young team, maybe that's a sign of younger players, just maybe don't have that mentality yet, maturity. So yeah, Arsenal fans, I think you're probably going to, be about 6th or 7th this year is my prediction. But there we go. Who cares, Pat? Why are we even talking about Arsenal?
Who cares? Doesn't matter.
Who cares? I don't know why I talked about them. You're right. They're irrelevant, right?
Do you know who I do care about? And I feel like we should light a candle. It's Leeds United. Have you seen their next 4 or 5 fixtures?
No. Who's it again?
Genuinely horrendous. Let me just walk you through who Leeds have in the space of the next 4 weeks. They've got Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. They've got City at the Etihad. They've got Arsenal, but that's at Ellen Road. And then they've got United. No, not United. They've got Liverpool at Anfield. And then that is when their pain ends.
Do you know what? I think, listen, Leeds could win 2 of those games. Like, I'm going to put it out there. See with Patrick Bamford back, like he is like, I put him in I picked him up in the fantasy draft league because I knew he was coming back. Dispatched a goal for me. I knew it would happen. Big Bamford. Love the guy. Great human being. Really good guy. I think Leeds, look, everyone's getting on the, let's just jump on top of like Leeds are rubbish this year. And everyone's loving it because, you know what, it's like, look, again, there's a bit of context. They've had some really key injuries. You know, it's like Everton with Calvert-Lewin, right? Rondon, Best, like you put Calvert-Lewin back in that team, all of a sudden they're picking wins up that they're not picking up or draws up. Like 100% that would happen. It's the same with Leeds. He's just a key component. They don't have anyone to replace him. Those games, I actually think Leeds playing the big teams kind of suits them. I do think that. Like when they beat City last year, they've always given Liverpool a good game. The way they play, I think, you know, as a Liverpool fan, I would rather somebody come and sit in and camp in because we're kind of used to that. And it's like, it's less risky. Leeds will apply pressure. They'll force mistakes. And I think I would not be surprised. Listen, Pat, you've called Chelsea's demise. I'm going to go for it. Leeds to stick one on Chelsea, and all of a sudden they get sucked down. You want to see that down to that 5th place, Pat? If that prediction comes off, you're like a football genius. You're basically the new Ted Lasso, right? You can get a job anywhere you want, right? Go manage Crystal Palace, right?
You got to make these calls and just like throw something out there and see if something sticks. What do I lose if I'm wrong? I'm just a dumb American who doesn't know anything about football, so it's fine. But like if this actually happens, I look really smart. It's terrific, right?
So smart. So smart, mate. So smart. So anyway, that's my take on Leeds. Tough fixtures, but yeah, I think they'll pick up. I'd say at least 4 points from those fixtures.
I have a take on what you just said. Sorry, go ahead, Waleed.
No. Go for it, Pat. Go for it.
I was going to say you brought up 2 things that made me want to say something. So you brought up Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and the thing that he changes when he's back in the game is that my wife will sit down and watch the game with me because she likes looking at him. So like, that's the first piece, and the second piece.
He's basically a male model. Yeah, he's basically a male model. Yeah,
I've seen it in the shaving commercials and all. He looks amazing. But the other thing that really resonated for me is something else that you said that I'm losing right now. So I don't know. What did you say? No. I know what it was. You talked about a fantasy league person Bamford, who you got on your team because he's a great human. And if that's your strategy for fantasy, I feel really, really badly for you, Ross. You're not going to be able to win. Let's go for people who actually can score some points instead of being good humans. Okay.
Listen. I love your winning mentality there, but there's certain fantasy players I will not pick because they're just like Jordan Pickford. Never ever getting picked by me ever. Partly because he's a terrible human being, but partly because he's got ridiculously short arms and can't save things that go in the corner. So, but anyway, there you go. Yeah, exactly. T-Rex arms. That's Pickford. You love to see it. So Chelsea, West Ham. big win for. It was a crazy game. As you watch it, it was like West Ham didn't play that well, but it was a bit mental. And obviously Mendy had an absolute howler, which again, you love to see. But yeah, so Chelsea are just, it's a bit of a weird time. He's tinkering with the team a bit. They've got a couple of injuries. Obviously Kante's out, Chilwell, Pat's main man is out. But yeah, Tuchel's kind of talking about finding a way to start winning again. Lukaku is back. Will it make a difference? What do we think? What's going on at Chelsea? What do we think?
I think that they don't really understand the concept of playing aggressively with balance. Like, I feel like we're starting to see a bit more of the team not really having fully adapted to Tuchel's system just yet, because the second they try to attack, they start conceding. Like, rather than being able to, if they're going to play that pressing style football, they've not quite managed that yet. So I don't know. I think it's about to get worse, and I'm very much here for it. But I don't know, Pat, what do you think?
I love it. I really hope that, predictions aside, it was a great game. Watching that game, and they had a couple of leads in the game, and then Mendy, you're right, just a couple of mistakes that just weren't terrific at all. But I don't know what it is about the team. I don't know why, but I enjoy rooting against them. No, I don't. I've been told all these other teams I'm supposed to root against, but I kind of like to root against Chelsea. I do like Chilwell, and I do have him on my fantasy team, and I am a little depressed now that he's sitting on the sidelines, and I have to kind of protect him and bring him back in when he finally comes back around. But yeah, like I kind of want Chelsea to be fifth. Maybe that's why I picked them there. Is I want them to be lower.
Nobody likes Chelsea. Yeah, nobody likes them. They're easy team to hate, mate. They've had some despicable managers. They've got obviously this owner who's basically tried to buy success. I wonder if there's another team like that as well in the league. I can't remember who they are. Again, these teams, Pat, are easy to hate, really easy to hate, right? That's it. Especially if you don't support them. So yeah,
I feel like people hate Chelsea more than they hate City, though.
100%. It's because why? Because Pep's quite stylish, right? As much as, and he's also he's given us some great moments, like ridiculous moments, right? So the twice. He's like, you love those. He's a bit of a ridiculous man, yeah. So, but yeah, Tuchel is like when he first came in, you remind me of like a Villas-Boas, like a bit of a nonsense guy. He's turned out actually, I'm warming to him a bit more now. Frank Lampard was the best appointment they made, because it's hard not to like Frank. He's a good guy. Hard not to like him. But yeah, Tuchel, I think I do enjoy watching his. I think he's pretty. Yeah, I've been more and more impressed with him. So I kind of I hate them a little bit less. And also they don't have anyone they don't have they used to have those players that you just despise, right? Whereas now it's like, I do kind of I kind of like a lot of their players, and I think they play some good stuff. I think they're probably unlucky against West Ham to lose, to be honest. If I'm being totally blunt, they should have got beaten by Watford, though. By the way, that was the game that was I was like, there's a wee bit of a slump here. Was the Watford game? They didn't lose it, but they probably should have lost it. So I think their fixtures aren't too bad. I don't think Chelsea, not on paper, but it's going to be, I just think this Christmas period is going to be so key. It's always the same when you get the stack of games up to the start of January. And I think that you may see one of the top three I think one of them will maybe just fall a little bit. And I'm not saying it will definitely be Chelsea. Obviously, Pat, you hope it will be. But I do think typically you might see one of them just having a slump at the wrong time, and there might be a little bit of a gap that opens up. City getting all their players back is pretty concerning, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, I just think I don't even know. Yeah, without Kevin De Bruyne, they're functioning so well. I don't even know what happens if De Bruyne comes back in. I don't know what happens.
If he comes back in and hits form, the thing is that before his injury, he was not good. He made us a worse team. So I'd be curious to see what happens there. I do feel for poor Jackie Grealish. He's trying his hardest, but he's not
100. Is he a £100 million player? Is he?
He is. But the problem is, I think he's got in this Harry Kane mode of he's just in his own head a bit too much. He's overthinking it like a lot. So I watched the game the other day against I can't remember who it was, Watford, yeah, and he started doing things like he took those extra touches which he normally wouldn't do. Like he usually. At Villa, he had that flair and that swagger and that confidence that he would take much fewer touches and take people on more effectively and sink it into the net more effectively. I think he's just being too kind and respectful to his teammates, and that he loads it off to everyone else quite quickly. But then also, when he's in a position where he's going to score, he's just being too careful. And I think Pep said it as well in an interview of like, he just needs to sort of get out of his own head a little bit and he'll be fine.
Pat's not having it. Pat's saying 100 million quid. No, he's
No,
not having
100 million is, I mean, I would think if you are, if you're watching what's happened with Grealish and you're watching what happened with Kane, where you spent the money and you almost spent the money, I would think the transfer fees have to be coming down, right? Like nobody's more than 70 anymore. It's just not worth it. I feel like Grealish having a hard time finishing this upper as well, isn't he? I mean, it's a struggle for him. And Kane, it's ridiculous. 1 goal this year. Højbjerg has more goals than Kane does. I mean, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that 100 is just way too much.
Yeah, Pat, more shockingly, it's 100 million Great British pounds, not 100 million dollars, right? Think of that in dollars, right? That's like just think about that, mate. And by the way, Grealish, I think you're right. Great hair, 10 million for the hair, 20 million per calf. He's 50 million pound player. That's it. That's where he's at, right? That's Jack Grealish. I think he's I don't know. It's one of those ones you worry. I remember Robbie Keane signed for Liverpool, and same thing. A phenomenal player his whole career, apart from when he came to Liverpool, got in his own head, was trying too hard, doing the wrong things. I think I would like to see Pep. If I was Pep, I'd be moving him into the middle as part of like the number 10 role. I'm just saying, Jackie boy, get on the ball, affect the game, find this view where De Bruyne has played before, right? I think that might just help spark him a little bit because, by the way, like Foden, like he's miles behind Foden, in my opinion. Like if Foden, I know that he rotates and he'll get game time, but Foden is just like on a different level at the moment. If he's 100 million, Foden's 200 million, right? That's the way it is.
Fully agree. And I mean, I have faith that Grealish is going to come up with the goods. I'm sorry, but he just is. He's already got that foundation of he's a very intelligent player, and you can't necessarily buy that sometimes. But what's nice to see out of his injury is the revival of Raheem Sterling. And also Pep playing him on the right.
Is that nice to see? That
is wonderful to see. Ross, I love to see it. I love to see it. I love the fact that he's playing on the right. I feel like when he plays on the right, he is devastating. I've always preferred him to Mahrez on the right. Like when Leroy Sané.
Is he better than Sarr? Is he better than Sarr?
Like, is he better than Sarr? He's actually scoring goals.
So is Sarr. Is he better than Dennis at Watford? Is he better than these guys? Is he? I don't know. Is he? I'm just asking the question.
He's more likable than Mahrez. He's a lot better than Sarr.
Yeah, he's one of the least likable human beings on the planet. Nobody likes Raheem Sterling. Like nobody.
Yeah,
he is. You know what he is? He is the Lewis Hamilton of football, right? Nobody likes him, right? Nobody likes him, right?
You only don't like him if you're a Liverpool fan. Just because
No. Look, ask fans in the league. He dives. He's a diver. He's just not.
You support Mo Salah. That man dives more than SeaWorld.
I don't know if he dives more than Raheem Sterling, mate. Like Sterling is one of the notorious, like he's one of the worst in the league for it, right? He's terrible. I've seen him at Liverpool do it. Like, I'm aware he did it at Liverpool as well. Like I'm not denying that. But yeah, I mean to be fair, he looked in the wilderness. It was talk of him leaving. Obviously, we're going to retract the statement if you love to see Raheem Sterling playing well. Nobody loves to see that apart from Waleed, okay? But yeah, so yeah, I mean he's managed to, he's worked his kind of weaseled his way back into the team, which is we'll see what happens. But look at that smile on your face, Waleed. You're just delighted with his form, aren't you? You're loving it.
Pat, you're trying to say something, and it's obviously going to be something nice about Sterling.
No, it's not. I was curious to find, like, Ross, you made the comment that maybe one of the top 3 will drop through the course of the next little while. What if it's Liverpool? I mean, 44 goals so far. Tottenham could play the same number of games, 14 games again, double their goal count, and still not be close to 44 yet. They scored a lot, and a lot of the goals, it looked like, Mo Salah did something amazing, and you had Thiago, this ridiculous utter filth. You said, what happens if some of these things don't go in? Right? I mean, is there a chance that they're the team that actually drops?
There's always a chance. I think the team's functioning well at the moment. The risk is that we're like midfield, we're bare boat. Like, if one of them, if Thiago, Hendo, and Fabinho play every game, I feel really good. If we take one of those people out and the Ox comes in or Milner comes in, they're absolutely capable. They're good player. Not Slate. I love these players, right? But it's not the same level, that elite level. I think. Look, it's down to, I think Chelsea and City, we have them in January at some point, right? I think, or the start of next year, I think. So we need to get to those games and be right at where we are, maybe a little bit ahead, right? And I think it could come down to those games. I think defensively, we're probably the most like susceptible. I would say we concede more, but we score more. So it's, you know, like you say, if the good thing is, Pat, I think is like the front three or traditional front three of Firmino, Salah, Mane, right? If I think one of the commentators said this, the thing is, you'd say, okay, look, if Firmino's having an off day, the other two compensate, right? If Salah's having an off day, the other. We've now got Jota. I don't see a way, and then you've got Origi, who's got this magic talent of scoring important goals. It's very difficult to see our teams keep us out because we have better options now, right? So we have that ability. Whereas before, you're saying, look, if one's injured and one's not firing, it's down to one guy. Whereas I think we'll still score. I think the big test for us will be against like City and Chelsea is we may need to win those games, right? Can we dispatch them? I don't know. Yeah, it's a great season. Look, I'm just like enjoying watching this team play because they're just awesome.
I mean, yeah. So I'm just looking at the fixture list that Liverpool have while AFCON happens, and it's actually quite forgiving. It's actually pretty good. You've got Brentford, you've got, where are they? Crystal Palace, you've got Leicester, and then you finish it off with Burnley. Like, I feel like if African...
We could get through it. Maybe. And by the way, Pat, did you see against Wolves, you know, we all talk about Origi's goal. Virgil van Dijk's pass to Salah. You love those, Pat, don't you? You love those raking Van Dijk passes, yeah? That Ruben Diaz could only dream of making. Right?
Right. We have a goalkeeper who does that. It's fine.
To be fair, Ederson is different gravy. He is different. I'll give you that. And what about the bottom of the table, boys? I know we spent a lot of time at the kind of, as usual, you know, you talk about all the kind of top, but what about the bottom of the table? So we got Newcastle got their first win. Way high, man. And after under Eddie Howe, we got Norwich got a win, but I've kind of stuttered a little bit since. Obviously, Spurs dispatched them. So we have that. So we got them. We got Burnley right down there. You know, there's teams like, you know, Everton and Leeds been drawn into it. Watford obviously still in the mix. Like Southampton, you know, looking like they should have beat Brighton and then they concede and can't quite get out of it. I was looking at the table and it's like there's a lot of teams in that, you know, within that kind of 6 to 8 points have been in trouble, which is only a couple of bad results. So how are we feeling about the relegation battle? I mean, it seemed at some point Norwich and Newcastle were just gone. What do we think now? Do we think they're back in with a chance, or who's going down? Who's our favourites to go down? Tough to call, eh?
It's very tough to call. I mean, I think any of those teams that you mentioned, even just watching the Norwich game against Tottenham, I don't think they're that bad. They lost 3-0, but I don't think they're that bad. And you know, Newcastle, they've really struggled, but they got a win, so they're finally in the win column. And I see just a bunch of teams that are like clumped up together, very close. It's not going to surprise me if a team like Southampton, who's up there 6 points above relegation right now, finds a way to be able to drop down in. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I think I'm going to make a bold claim here. I think Newcastle might weasel out of this. I don't know. I think if they can keep, I'm looking at like Almiron, Callum Wilson, Fraser, St. Maximan. I'm just feeling like, I know defensively there's a question mark, and Eddie Howe's not a defensive manager. That's going to be the big thing. I think Norwich are gone. I just don't see it. I do not see a scenario in which they stay up. I just don't think Dean Smith's going to have enough time to fix what he needs to fix. I think he's quite a defensive-minded manager, and I don't think that suits the playing squad's not built that way. I think that's tough. I think they're gone. I think Watford are in big trouble. I still think, as much as they've improved and there's been this, I don't know that Ranieri's got that sustainability. I don't know. I think that they leak a lot of goals. They certainly can score, but they leak a lot of goals and have a bunch of injuries. But Burnley, I feel, could this be the year? Could it be the year that we see Burnley drop out of the Premier League? Could it be the year that everyone's been waiting for, right? That they get Sean Dyche and Burnley, right? You know, talk about teams you hate to play against, right? Burnley must be up there for most teams, right? Horrible team to play against. What do we think? Is it time? Is there time up? Well, Waleed's saying yes, I can tell. He loves it.
I mean, I have a lot of respect for Sean Dyche. I feel like he's you know, year in, year out, making do with pretty much nothing and still making Turf Moor a very difficult place to go. Like, teams do win there, but they really have to try. Like, they have to get through a lot to get there. I mean, I'm with you. Norwich are I mean, they're relegated. They are. I can probably see Burnley there. I think Newcastle, you're right, they are going to escape. But I think the fact that differentiates them from everyone else is that they're going to have a decent January transfer window. They will get someone in the window, whether it's Coutinho, whether it's
Lingard, Jesse Lingard, they're talking about as well. Yeah. So
exactly.
yeah.
I think there's like an English sweep that they're trying to do with like a number of English players in the league. They're going to try and get right. I think that if they get someone like Eddie Nketiah, that's going to be a really good backup in case Wilson gets injured, for example, right? I think Newcastle will be fine. I would like to see either Southampton or Watford go. I feel like Southampton and Watford, at least they're adding something to the league in the sense of you have no idea which team's going to turn up. I just feel like, Southampton, just when you watch them, they're just trying to survive. And understandably, like they don't have the finances that some of the other clubs do. So I do have sympathy, but it just gets to a point where it's like you're just harming your fan base, really.
Oh, I think it's harsh, Southampton fans. I'm not having that. I think Southampton play some great football, well-coached team, got some like Ward-Prowse. What a player he is! What a boy he is. Redmond,
are they playing good football? Are they playing good football?
They play. I think they don't come a year bit and give you boys a good. Remember, Pep made the excuse before midweek was like, "Oh yeah, we might not win." Southampton, look, they do it. They've done it against Liverpool. They've done it against the big teams. They're again a bit like Leeds in that way. They're a team like I know when we play them, I'm like, oh, because they don't sit back. They try and affect the game. Brighton similarly for us, like they just it's trying to do something different. So I've got a lot of respect for Big Hasenhüttl. I like him. I think he's a good manager. I think they got 2 or 3 really talented players there that I think they'll be okay. They'll be okay. They're good enough. They'll be fine. So I'm not having that. I'm going to stick up for you Southampton fans here.
But how amazing, right? That Everton is actually below. We're talking about is Southampton going to be able to stay up or not, and Everton's actually below them right now.
Everton will be fine. Rafa's there. He'll be fine. But yeah. So let's finish up with what we need with fantasy football, right? So, what do we think? So any like we'll just do your top picks, top drops. What anyone we're feeling good about? Looking at our fixtures. Anyone we think you might want to move out of your team based on current form. So go for it, Waleed. You look like you're ready to go.
Well, so I was looking at their fixture list. United have a very, very nice set of fixtures for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So I've actually put Alex Tellers in because I think that he's going to get a lot more game time than Shaw. I don't think Shaw's here for the pressing. And Tellers is
that based on like diet and weight, or is that based on ability? Like
I think that's based on ability. I think that Ranić really likes the cut of Tellers' jib. But I think basically so I've already put Sancho in, and I know that Sancho is going to start bagging. But I'm going to start putting some United players in here.
Wow, I'm just saying. Look, Tella is definitely better looking than Luke Shaw. Definitely a bit a nicer guy, like a better human being. But wow, that's a big caveat. That's a huge. Listen, if that comes to fruition, then that's a huge shout. But yeah,
Wan-Bissaka, by the way.
You're back in Sancho. You're back in Jadon Sancho.
I'm back in Jadon Sancho. And actually, I still have time to be able to take the transfer back. I might actually put Diogo Dalot in because Wan-Bissaka can't attack.
Right. We just stop recording. He just said, can we edit that bit out? Like he's putting in Diogo Dalot. Like that is like an absolutely might be one of the worst fantasy shouts I've ever heard.
Wan-Bissaka is completely fit, and he did not play.
So what's your point?
Ranić, I don't think likes the way that Wan-Bissaka plays. I think he's
come in and just gone, mate, I don't like you. You're out of the team. No, mate, come on. There's something up with Wan-Bissaka. Like he's got COVID or something, mate. There's some problem with him, right? Wan-Bissaka will be back in that team. Like, listen, Dalot is an outrageous shout. But listen, look, we're here for some controversy. We love to see it. Pat, try and follow that, right? I don't know how you follow that.
I don't know if I can. So you're guessing so often right now. You look at Mount had a great week this week, and then his last game before it was just like nowhere. Thiago Silva, I put him in my lineup in the fantasy draft league, and he scored for me a couple times. I got a little lucky and kind of picked that up. That was good. But and then Son, I still think that they've only scored 16 goals this year, but Tottenham's going to come around, and Son and Kane are actually going to hook up a bit. You're going to see some points out of both of those guys. I know I'm a homer for Tottenham, but I just don't think you're going to see them have such a such a struggle scoring in the next 5-6 games.
Okay, well, I'm going to go against that, Pat. I'm going to say, so I took Kane out. I'd stuck with Kane. I thought this something was coming, and then I realized it's not coming. He's just, his head's gone. So I put in Ronaldo instead. So I would say, so I'm going to go the opposite, Waleed, here and say, look, if you're going to stack a Man United, do not put Jadon Sancho in. Do not put Alex Telles in. And absolutely do not put in Diogo Dalot, right? Put in Cristiano Ronaldo. They've got a great run of fixtures. He's my number one tip. Bamford's my next one. I think he's just the main man for Leeds, right? And he's got great supply now. You've got Daniel James, Rafinha. Yeah, I think he's going to score goals for them. I think you'll see an uptick in their form.
Great human too.
Mate, great human, which is a great reason to put him in, Pat, as well. Chelsea's an interesting one. I've got Mount in. I think you're right. The problem with Chelsea is the goals are come from different places. It's hard to, Mount will have a little hot streak and then go quiet, and maybe Havertz. It's hard to know. You don't know who to hang your hat on at Chelsea, right? Other teams are going, Bernardo Silva. You just say, I think it's him or Foden, and it's do you keep riding the Silva wave until it goes cold, or do you? I think that's what I would say is, if you're behind and you need an uptick, you might want to bank him Foden, or even Grealish is if Pep's going to back him, but you might want to do something like that because a lot of people will be stacked in Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne, I would leave alone until we see him back. We don't know what kind of Kevin De Bruyne we're going to get. We'll have to wait and see. And what about Steven Gerrard? I did tell you, boys. I told you he's going to do fine, mate. 9 points out of 12. Should have got something against City, by the way. You were lucky against them, and you were. And I tell you what, defensively now they've sorted stuff out. It may be time to reinvest in. If you're not in a Martinez, you could look at their. I think Cash is the fullback is good target. You could look at those guys. And Ollie Watkins, with things being out injured again, playing up on his own, suits his style. He's one to look at. I think they've got Liverpool next. I don't know what their fixtures are after that, but I think Villa could be an interesting. You can maybe look when Diaz starting to look like a player. Super John McGinn as well. You got to love the biggest arse in football. Uses it so beautifully. Just uses that big arse of his. But anyway, there we go. Some fantasy tips to finish up. Well, chaps, always a pleasure.
Fantastic.
Absolutely, and let's look forward to these. We've got Champions League this week. Most of the games mean nothing, so who cares? But it's still football to watch. And then big weekend this weekend with Stevie G returning to Anfield. So looking forward to that.
Arsenal are playing Everton in an hour.
Also, they are. I forgot, but who cares? It's Arsenal. Who cares?
It doesn't matter. It's a big match. No one cares about it.
It's basically a game is going to decide who's going to finish 12th, right? It's who cares?
Yeah.
Right? All right, always a pleasure, boys. Thank you to everyone for listening, and we'll be on again soon. Cheers.
Cheers, folks.
Thanks all.